Page 158. Dasher to the rescue. Father Christmas was flying through the air and falling as fast as plum pudding toward the ground. But wait, what was that flash of shadow speeding toward him? It was Dasher, the fastest of all the reindeer. He dived down and curved back underneath Father Christmas just before he landed on the ground. Bang! The soldiers were shooting again, so Dasher carried Father Christmas back up to the room. When they got there, Father Christmas saw Queen Victoria now holding the large rifle, and she was pointing it directly at him. "How do they do that?" she asked. Father Christmas was staring at the gun. "Do what?" "The flying horse devils. How do they fly?" Father Christmas didn't like it when she called the reindeer horse devils, because the reindeers were sensible creatures, especially Prancer, and they didn't like being called names. They are reindeer. They have nothing to do with horses or devils. They are very special creatures, and they fly because of magic. There's magic in the air because it's Christmas, but there's not enough magic in the air. That's why we crashed into your window. The flying was going a bit wrong. So, who the dickens are you? I'm Father Christmas. Father Christmas? Who's that? Never heard of you. I have sugar plum, said Albert nervously, as if every word he spoke was made of porcelain. I heard about him from Henrik, my Norwegian friend, the one I got their tree from. He's the man who goes around the world on Christmas Eve, giving presents to all the children. Oh, yes, I heard about that. What a creepy thing to do, sneaking into people's bedrooms. Father Christmas shook his head. I don't do any sneaking. You see, I stop time. Well, that's the idea, using magic to give people hope. This made Queen Victoria cross, and her cross face was one of the crossest cross faces in human history. By smashing into Buckingham Palace, we've only just moved in. Look at the mess you've made. Prince Albert raised his hand. Permission to speak, said the Queen. I was just going to point out that we do have 51 other bedrooms, feather cheeks. That is beside the point, Baroness. Give him a slap. The Baroness gave poor Prince Albert a sharp slap across the face. It was an accident, said Father Christmas, talking about the window. I am very sorry. 2 soldiers from outside had now arrived in the bedroom too, a bit out of breath after running up the stairs. At your service, Your Majesty. The Queen nodded at the soldiers and had one more question for Father Christmas. You do know who you are talking to, don't you? Yes, you are the Queen of England. Yes, said the Queen. Technically, the Queen of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland and head of the British Empire, which covers most places. So you could say I am the most important person in the whole world. Shall we kill the intruder? Asked the soldiers. I really feel it would be bad form to kill Father Christmas, said Albert. Hush up, Albert, said Queen Victoria, and then she gave Father Christmas a long, hard stare. How do we know you are Father Christmas? The reindeer were flying. Surely that is proof of magic. I suppose it is a bit strange, said Queen Victoria. But lots of things are strange, like fish and belly buttons and the poor. We should probably not shoot you, though. Father Christmas was overjoyed. Oh, thank you. That is such a relief. No, I will have you hanged instead. Father Christmas gulped. He needed to think of something. So he closed his eyes and he thought very deeply. He went into a kind of dream. He saw an unhappy 80-year-old girl who looked very like Queen Victoria. She was in a lovely room full of amazing things, a rocking horse, spinning tops, tea sets, 100 dolls, but she was getting shouted at by a woman with her hair in a bun, a younger Baroness Lassen. I want my mommy, the girl whimpered to her governess. Where is my mommy? You are being very naughty, Victoria, roared the Baroness. I have to train you to be a lady. You could be queen one day. But I don't want to be queen. Don't say that, or you won't get any presents for Christmas. The only thing I want for Christmas is not to be queen. Never, ever, ever. And so Father Christmas opened his eyes, and he said what he had just heard in his mind. The only thing you wanted for Christmas when you were a little girl was not to be queen. Never, ever, ever. Queen Victoria looked very, very sad. Very, very sad indeed. Maybe even sadder than that. How do you know that? Because I am Father Christmas. She laid the gun down and gently flapped her hands, telling the guards and Baroness Lassen to leave. When the last guard had left the room, she became lost in thought as Blitzen began nibbling on the plush cushions. I wasn't a happy child, you know. Everyone expected me to act a certain way because I was going to become queen. It is a lot of pressure when everyone expects you to be something important. Do you understand? Father Christmas knew the feeling. Completely, said Father Christmas. Yes, I really do. I had lots of toys, but there was no magic. Father Christmas felt like he wanted to cheer her up, so he started singing Jingle Bells. What are you doing? She asked him. I'm singing Jingle Bells. Why? To cheer you up. Queen Victoria burst out laughing. Albert looked concerned. Darling, one of the devil horses is eating the curtains. He is not a devil horse, said the queen. He is a reindeer. And then she smiled at Father Christmas, and Father Christmas smiled back. Page 164. The Royal Seal of Approval. Queen Victoria apologized to Father Christmas. She really was very sorry. To give magic to children, what a wonderful thing, she said. The trouble is, said Father Christmas, that the magic is not very magic at the moment. He pointed at the smashed window and the billowing curtains to make his point. Last year, there was no magic at all. Christmas didn't happen, and Christmas has to happen. I had nothing when I was a child, sighed Father Christmas. Well, I had a doll made out of a turnip and a sleigh, but it wasn't like this one. He pointed at the large red sleigh and noticed a small flicker of light inside the barometer of hope. The queen had more to say. I wish I had believed in magic, to know that some things can't be explained, to have some mystery. That would have made everything better. You see, there was no mystery in my life, and there never has been. Everything I've done was planned in advance, and that can be as dull as a London fog. Queen Victoria sailed gradually across the room in her nightdress to reach a small antique table, the color of chestnut, and sat down at it to write a note. And once she had finished writing, she picked up a wooden stamp and pressed it down on the piece of paper. It made a splotch red mark on the paper with the picture of a crown in it. The royal seal of approval, she said with pride. If you get into any trouble, just give them this. Show this letter to anyone, and they will know it was written by the real me. Father Christmas looked at the letter. It wasn't a very long letter. The letter said, Dear whoever you are, be nice to this man. Yours faithfully, Queen Victoria. Father Christmas felt the warm feeling in his belly. Thank you. It's nice to have friends in high places. She gave a small smile. Likewise. What would you like for Christmas? He asked her. Queen Victoria thought for a very long time. India would be nice. India, said Father Christmas. I think India is a bit, well, it seems a bit wrong to give somebody a country. Well, India will be mine one day, I assure you. But in the meantime, a nice teapot would do very nicely. I think we have a spare, he said. So Father Christmas went over to the infinity sack and stuck his arm inside and wished for the right teapot, a white one with a picture of a lion and unicorn on it. And sure enough, he felt the smooth, cold china of a teapot handle against his palm. He pulled it out. Yes, said the queen. That is the exact one I wanted. Father Christmas nodded. I have a lot more presents to deliver, he said, as he settled into the sleigh and took the reins. But what if you crash again? The Queen said, actually looking slightly concerned. Father Christmas saw there was now a little bit of hope in the barometer. Maybe this meeting with the Queen had been enough to put some hope back in the air. Whatever it is, Father Christmas pressed the clock's stop button, and it worked again. Kind of. Queen Victoria stopped moving. She became as still as the oil paintings on the walls, but then she started moving again, though very slowly. All right, my dears, time has slowed, but not quite stopped. We better get on our way and just hope we're too fast and they're too slow for anyone to see us in the sky. And the reindeer took off, galloping through the broken window and into that London sky. A little wobbly, but they made it, safely flying over churches and houses and the round onion dome of St. Paul's Cathedral, and past incredibly slow flying pigeons until they all landed on the slate-tiled roof of 99 Haberdashery Road. On the street below, a man and woman were walking arm in arm. They were almost still, but not quite. The man was smoking a pipe. He was taking out of his mouth in extreme slow motion. Then Prancer, standing a little awkwardly on the roof, slipped on a tile, and the tile became unstuck and slid very slowly over the other tiles. Father Christmas leaned forward inside the sleigh and repeatedly pressed the stop button, but the tile was still moving. Oh dear. Time had to stop completely. It couldn't just stutter or slow down. There were 227,892,951 children he had to give presents to. There was a lot of children. So yes, time had to stop. What he didn't know, but was about to find out, was that at least part of the answer lay at the bottom of this chimney. The chimney he was standing above and stepping inside and climbing down, simply by wishing. And as he traveled through it, he noticed, right at the top, fingerprints in the soot. They indicated the smallness of a child. Thought Father Christmas, and that small hum of a thought was about to grow into something very worrying indeed. Page 170. The Girl with the Beard. Something was wrong. Father Christmas could sense that even before he saw the bed. Then he did see the bed. And he guessed. Amelia had grown. Father Christmas knew that she was 10 years old, and he knew that there was a big difference between 8 years old and 10, but she was now the size of the entire bed, and she had a belly as large as Father Christmas's, and she was snoring like a pig with the cold. He looked around. The place looked the same as it had 2 years ago. There were bare, damp walls with paint peeling off them. There was water dripping in from the ceiling because of the leaky roof. But there was the cat. There was no sign or trace or smell of the black cat who had been sleeping on her bed the last time he'd been here. And there was a bottle by Amelia's bed, a whiskey bottle. Did 10-year-old girls drink whiskey these days? Then he saw something out of the window, a small shadow falling fast, in real time, and reaching the ground with a smash. Father Christmas saw, from the glow of the moon, the remnants of the smashed roof tile on the ground. The couple he had seen earlier was gone. Snow was falling. A floorboard creaked. Then Amelia sat up in bed, and she had a beard as bushy as Father Christmas's, and as bristly and black as Father Vadot's. She looked about 49. "You are not Amelia." "What are you doing in my room?" roared the man, who had a rough voice and looked and smelled like a pirate. The man picked up the empty whiskey bottle and threw it at Father Christmas's head. Father Christmas ducked, and the bottle smashed against the wall. "Oh dear," said Father Christmas. And then he reached in his sack for something the man might like. He pulled out an eye patch. "You might like this," Father Christmas told him, "as it'll make you look even more like a pirate." The man did not like this. "I don't look anything like a pirate, but you do. You look like a big red pirate." So Father Christmas found a batch of chocolate money in his sack. I am Father Christmas. I'm not a thief or anything. Please take these. Coins, said the man. Made out of chocolate, said Father Christmas. The very best elf-made chocolate. Made out of chocolate? What a good idea, said the man. He bit into one. You have to unwrap them, Father Christmas explained. Oh, yes, I see that. I'm sorry I gave you a shock. Listen, are you Amelia's father? Who's Amelia? She lives here. I thought she lives here. The man had to think. Well, I've been here a year now, but the neighbors say the lady who was here before died. She had a girl, but I never knew what happened to her. Father Christmas gasped. He had a sinking feeling as he remembered Amelia's letter. The one she had sent before the Christmas that never happened. Right, said Father Christmas. I see. Well, thank you, and now I'll be on my way. And the man was surprised to see that, instead of heading out the door, Father Christmas headed toward the fireplace. How are you going to fit in there? Magic, said Father Christmas. Merry Christmas. And Father Christmas disappeared up the chimney that was clearly too small for a grown man to fit inside. But then, near the top of the chimney, Father Christmas did get a bit stuck. His head was peeping out of the top. He felt like he was trapped tight in a giant's feast. Well, this is a bit embarrassing, he said, as all the reindeer on the roof stared at him. Comet was laughing. Fast, little air clouds coming out of his nostrils. Comet, this really isn't funny. Blitzen carefully bowed his head for Father Christmas to grab hold of his antlers. Father Christmas held tight as Blitzen walked slowly backward. Pop! Father Christmas flew out of the chimney like a cork from a bottle. Luckily, though, his grip on Blitzen's antlers was so tight that he didn't fly too far. In fact, he just did one big somersault and landed on the reindeer's back. Thank you, Blitzen, he said, giving Comet a big of a glare. A good friend, as always. Then he slid off Blitzen's back and walked delicately along the roof to the sleigh. Page 175. Father Christmas makes a decision. Now, it is quite complicated. The way the magic works, the northern lights, stopping time, flying through the air, and everything. It is dependent on many, many things, maybe even many, many, many things. To explain it in all its detail would take a lot of books. It would take 7,462 books, and I would love to write them all, but my fingers would drop off and I would get too hungry. And anyway, if you explain magic in too much detail, it flies away. You know, like when you see a pretty butterfly and you want to get a better look. So you go over to the butterfly and then the butterfly flies off and you can't see it at all. And if you didn't think that last sentence made sense, I should tell you that it absolutely did and you should read it again. But there are some things I can tell you. For one, Father Christmas was confused. He knew there was something going on in Elfhelm. Something Father Topo wasn't telling him. What he did know was that Amelia Wishart was missing. And Amelia Wishart was important. She was the first child. She was the one who had hoped the most of the first ever Christmas. The one who had to put enough magic in the air simply by believing in it. And this was before any child in the world had known about Father Christmas. She had believed, not in him, but in possibility, in the kind of possibility that could mean something like delivering toys to every child on earth could actually happen. Right, Father Christmas explained to the reindeer on that roof. Look, I think we can save Christmas, but we need to find this girl. She'll be somewhere in London, so I'm going to find her.